and back to staff with a bird.
Hello everybody, and look at this fantastic view of a wire-tailed swallow, one of the more common of the swallows out here, and of course giving us a beautiful view of itself. That chestnut head, and if it were to turn around, it would have the only pure white breast parts in the Mara, out of the Mara swallows, and called the wire-tailed swallow. If you have a look at the tip of the wings closest to us, there we go, you can see that short stiff tail. There are two of them out there. You can just see the one on the left, on the right-hand side, but that is what gives it its name. Like its tail, rather than being long, as these two sharp, short. There we go. There you can just see it sticking out where it gets its name, the wire-tailed swallow. And of course, that faint iridescence on its back. Isn't that just the most beautiful shot of a wire-tailed swallow? Not that common in South Africa, to be quite honest with you. They're actually quite difficult to see in South Africa. I've only seen one before, this one. I must have seen these wild-tailed swallows before here in the Mara when I was here. I just never identified them before until now. This particular swallow hiding away from the storm that is raging out over this particular part of the Mara and staying out of the wind, I would imagine, is what it's doing. Why are they common along the rivers? Along the Mara River, there's a lot of insects, and these birds fly along, scooping up insects in their very wide mouth. So it's called a gape. And this swallow, when it turns its head, you'll see that its mouth extends to almost past its eye, and it can open its mouth almost 180 degrees. So it uses those fantastic shaped wings to generate a lot of maneuverability and a lot of airspeed, and it will use its tail and its wings together to try and outmaneuver insects, and then this massive mouth to gape over them and enclose them and swallow them. All right, why don't we send you through to Taylor's Lions?
Well, our lions haven't even twitched an ear just yet. Only now, as of course I started talking. I would have thought the wind would have muffled my voice, but apparently that is not even happening. Now, from the sort of information that Scott sent me this morning, he said that there were 4 lionesses. I can only see 3. However, there is a bit of a tunnel going into some of these smaller greener shrubs on the left, and I wonder if the other lioness hasn't just decided to tuck herself inside there and keep out of the wind. Well, that's what I would have done if I was a lioness. I would not be laying out here, and it's getting quite chilly too. But we're still keeping an eye out, seeing if any of the herds are moving down in this direction, but nothing just yet. I think it's going to be a very tricky situation for both sets of lions. They're going to have to do some serious moving if they're going to want to find some food. What's that? Hang on, I think I may have spotted the other lioness, or am I imagining things? I've imagined... No, it's just a different coloration of the shrub. That was not what I was looking at. And I was telling you yesterday how I've become the absolute queen of spotting termite mounds and calling them lions. And whoever's on camera with me, Jean-Andre was getting so sick of me the first drive that I did, because I was so excited. It was very exciting. Now look who I've got. I mean, where's Maurice? I have to dig in my camera box. Maurice doesn't like the wind either. It's Maurice's first lion sighting. How great is that? Now, Nazcar, you're wondering if lions' manes get darker with age. Not all the time. It's actually genetics that determine that type of thing. So sometimes you find male lions with just blonde manes. However, they have done studies over the years where they've had blonde mane lions versus dark mane lions, and it seems as though the females tend to prefer the darker mane lions. Obviously, it is a symbol of increased testosterone. That's typically what happens. A lot of the male animals out here, not just lions. If you look at eland, for an example, the largest antelope in the world, they also go a nice dark color compared to the coloration of the females. So it depends. I've only seen now one adult male lion, and he had a relatively dark mane. It was actually quite nice. It was quite a sighting late at night. And then I've seen those 3 boys there too. And the one that was laying flat, the old one, he doesn't look like he's got a particularly dark mane, but I don't think he's very old. I think he's still relatively young. And I think that's maybe why he's tolerating those other males still. But yeah, it's nice out here. It's a bit windy. It is getting a bit cold. We've had having to add, of course, layer upon layer And we've just realized that we don't have our coffee cups either. So I don't know what we're going to do about keeping warm and having coffee. We're going to die. Oh, no, we're not. We'll be fine. We're spoiled to be able to sit with lions and drink coffee. But what a beautiful view that was. And of course, it's a beautiful view looking at the lions. I'm still just trying to work out. Craig and I are, I think, you know what, let's put this into a vote. Why don't we? Now, obviously, we're sitting here. We know that there's another group of lions in the distance. What do you think we should do? Should we sit with these lionesses, or do you think we should head across to the 3 males and the lioness across the drainage line? Hashtag Safari Live with what you think, but you better be quick because I need to make a decision as to who I'm going to sit with. Now, obviously, we saw a little bit more action with the other ones. They were rolling around a little bit, whether it was because they were slightly nervous, maybe they're not too used to cars, or do you think we sit with these lioness? It's a tough one. Now, Scenic, you've asked how big is their territory. Unfortunately, I don't know. I have no idea which pride this is. So it's a very difficult question for me to answer. It's going to take me a little bit of time to work out the lions in this area. Obviously, it's very different than the Sabi Sand, where we see one pride of lions majority of the time, and then occasionally the Salalas and the sticks, and every now and then, if you're really lucky, the torch would pop onto our areas that we can traverse. And otherwise, we don't really see any more lions than that. So there's just lions everywhere. They're all over the show. It's amazing how this area can sustain so many predators. Remember, it's not just the lions, there's leopards on the forest sort of belts too, along the river line. And then, of course, there's plenty of hyena, serval, you name it. They're all out here. So, obviously, there's lots of food, there's lots of space, but they definitely come into contact with one another, as we have been seeing over the time. Ooh, we've got some answers. Okay. So I was having a giggle now because the way that Jerry said to me that Darlene said I should go back to the lions, and I'm laughing because I'm going, I am with the lions, but you meant to go back towards the males, right? Darlene, seen as though you responded quickest, I'm going to go with your recommendation, and we're going to head towards the sunset, hopefully have a look at the 2 and spend the rest of the afternoon with the boys and that one lovely lioness. But I'm going to send you back across now, well, not too far, up on the escarpment to Steph, and see if the crocodiles have managed to find a meal.
It's quite amazing in that Taylor just had the sun on her face and was quite obviously enjoying a nice sunset. I'm now looking in exactly the opposite direction to where Taylor was looking, and that is into the storm that has blown over the Mara. That is much darker in reality than what you're looking at over there. We're facing almost directly west, probably slightly northwest. Is the direction that you're looking at. And obviously Taylor had the afternoon sun. If I seem to remember, her face was on her right hand side. So Taylor was facing, what's that, south. So quite nice there, that view. That is the view that I have from my office at the moment, and I've been enjoying it the whole day, to be quite honest. I've been in my office most of today, and it's been an absolute pleasure. One of the best offices in the world. What's quite amazing is that on all the cameras we've got some birds doing something, and we'll see if we can switch you through them. On Dusty Crossing, at the extreme end of the range of the camera, on Dusty Crossing, we have a fish eagle and a Goliath heron. Fish eagle's busy eating food, and I'm just waiting for Geraldine to put us over. There we go. So you've got a fish eagle there. That is Dusty Crossing. Fish eagle has caught something, landed on the bank, and is now feeding on it. Isn't that fantastic there? Can't see, that is at the maximum end of the range of this particular lens. And then the large heron that's standing in the water. Oh, and there next to the fish eagle is a hammerkop bird, waiting for some morsels from the fish eagle. And the large heron on the left-hand side is the tallest bird that we have out here. That is the Goliath heron, standing easily as tall as what I am at the moment. Now, Hawkeye, you wanted to know how important a tail is for the flight in birds. And to answer that question, Hawkeye, could we go to Main South, please, Geraldine? And while I answer Hawkeye's question, that it will come out from there. So Main South, you can see that there's 2 Egyptian geese, a male lion that is lying on top of the bank, but to my point, we've got a whole bunch of swallows that are flying over the water. So To answer your question, the tail on a bird acts very similar to the tail of an airplane, and it allows for maximum rate turns. So I'm not exactly sure of how the aerodynamics work, and I'm also not a pilot, so I don't know exactly how the tail works. But what I do know is that the tail provides that extra little bit of turning force at the extreme speeds, and provides with a lot of maneuverability. And you can just see these birds hunting over the water at the moment, how they can change direction, how they'll very quickly be able to turn and follow insect movements over the water, and of course able to catch their dinner. Now, if we go to cul-de-sac crossing, we've still got our wire-tailed swallows, and these are now obviously the masters of catching insects in the air. We have what looks to be a juvenile or a female on the top left-hand side, and a adult on the bottom right-hand side. And there you can see the pure white chest of these wire-tailed swallows. They're just fantastic. I think it's very nice. All right, I'm going to look for some more things that interest me, and of course then I'll show you as soon as I get some. In the meantime, we're going to be sending you back down to Noel, who's bumbling around Djuma.
Welcome back, everybody. We are going to go head towards one of the dams near camp and go check up on some tracks from a leopard from this morning. There's some beautiful colors coming through. We're hoping for a really nice sunset, which means we're obviously driving west. Lots of pastel colors, lots of pinks and oranges. I love a sunset. So if you're at home, as you are, sitting there and you have access to anything like a South African wine or an Amarula, you can have a sundowner with us as we travel along. All right, leopards. We need to get our leopard mojo on. So I'm a very firm believer that if you think it and you really believe it's going to happen, it'll pop up. So we've been thinking about leopard quite a bit. So I definitely hope it's going to happen for this afternoon. Thanks, Judy. Yes, I agree. I really want the leopards to come introduce themselves, show their beautiful faces. We're going to talk about leopard conservation. We talked about lion conservation a little bit. We talked about elephant conservation. Leopard conservation is a whole other story, because we don't actually know total numbers on the continent. They're elusive, as you're all aware. So counting them is a lot more, but it's definitely the big cats on the continent. The numbers are very small. So the last month numbers I got for cheetah was about 7,000. Maybe it's slightly over for the continent. The lions we talked about earlier. For leopard, there's no confirmed numbers that I know of. I'm sure that you can Google something somewhere and someone will say something, but in general, from a conservation standpoint, from a lot of the people I've talked about that work within the industry with the big cats, there's no confirmed number. It also has a lot to do with the different governments across multiple countries, also either carrying or not carrying, and the way they gather data. So Namibia, for instance, for a long time was getting number leopards based on rainfall pattern. So how you can do that, so their estimate at one point was they have between 400 and 4,000 leopards in the whole country based on rainfall. It's a very abject, not very conclusive way to do that. Debbie from Vancouver was asking earlier about the way the bush looks with the grass and the color. That also makes it harder with a leopard. I mean, grass that is, say, yay big. I've watched a leopard walk down the road and lie down in grass yay big, and if you hadn't seen it, then you would never know that it had laid down there. You've got lots of camouflage working, as you know, with the rosettes and the different types of khaki and brown that's on the leopard. And that grass this time of year, lion will do the same. Hide very well. And cheetah. All right, now we're coming into a riverbed, dry riverbed. We've got a little bit of thicket, a little bit of tall tree, and still tracks from the elephants that we saw earlier.
There's our male lion, everybody. We were getting some sketchy signal from Noel, so we decided that we'd send you over to me before we lost her. And he's still very vigilant. And of course, there's a big storm brewing all over the place, and I think that he's probably just waiting over here for the cover of darkness to start moving around. Oopsie. There we go. Let me see. Beautiful face. No scars on him. And that's what I kept on saying a little bit earlier, is that he's a remarkably unscarred male for how beautiful he is, which says to me that he's still fairly young, or he's an incredibly good fighter. A vehicle in the background coming to have a look at him. I want to see those tires. We have got a beautiful scene at cul-de-sac crossing at the moment. I'd just like to share it with you at the moment, if we could, Geraldine. It is just an evening sunset shot over one of my most favorite places out here in the Mara. Isn't that just absolutely lovely? The scene of so much tragedy today. We've had 2 or 3 crossings here today, and we've seen I've seen a topi, 2 wildebeest, a calf wildebeest, and a zebra succumb to the crocodiles at this crossing today. I've even seen a human's shoe floating down this water today. I'm sure it was nothing more than just flood waters further upstream, washing a floating device into a tributary and then into the Mara River. But it was quite, I must be honest, quite disturbing to see. Now, Rick, you wanted to know what the most amazing thing I've seen in the Mara so far. Rick. Probably at this crossing, I was asked the question this morning as well, and I haven't changed my opinion throughout the day. I think that it was the mass drowning that I witnessed here. It was amazing for me to see how wildebeest came out onto this beach, swam across on the right hand side of this beach to the rocks on the right hand side, and then washed up against these rocks and just kept on streaming, thousands upon thousands of wildebeest. And in the end, there must have been about 40 to, about 80 carcasses that were busy lying in this pool right here, as these wildebeest couldn't get up this embankment. As you can see, it's a very steep embankment, and although there are places, there just is not enough place for thousands of wildebeest to exit, per minute or per whatever it was. And yet they just kept on coming. And crocodiles were going over the bodies of dead wildebeest to catch live wildebeest lying in the shallows. And it was amazing, it was disturbing, it was a whole bunch of things that I haven't quite even finished processing them yet, to be quite honest. That is just such a fantastic view. Another view that is quite fantastic at the moment is from our mountain camp. The sun is now shining onto the bottom of the clouds as it's starting to set. And as you can see there, we can see now what sun was shining on Taylor's face a little bit earlier. You can see all those black dots out there on the plain are all wildebeest. You can have a look at how many wildebeest are actually here. Isn't that absolutely incredible? All those black dots over there in the distance are all wildebeest. The migration is definitely here, if that wasn't evident by everything else that we're showing you. Alrighty, we're going to be sending you over to James, who's busy looking at the sun that is busy lighting up these clouds.
We are looking at the sun and seems to have developed a slight green glow, which is a bit odd. Oh well, it's not in reality, don't worry, the sun is perfectly fine, it's a camera. And we're going to go across now to the cheetah, who have not moved 1 inch. I will tell you that a storm, roughly the size of the one that hit Texas, is coming our way. And that's a little nerve-wracking. And just about all of the punters have had to leave by now. We might go a little bit closer, actually. I think there's probably no reason for us not to. We'll try and sneak around there when we're next off air, because driving over this ground with this camera is going to result in all of you getting very sick. So we put our special low light camera on in the hopes that these chaps are going to get up and do some hunting. James, you say, is this Busara and Kisaru, the daughters of Armani? They are indeed. That is exactly who they are. I'm led to believe. It's the first time I've seen them. No, it's not. I've actually seen them with David before in the Buleshaka marsh. But they're a long, long way from there now. But yes, that is who they are. And hopefully they will do their mother proud by going on the hunt in not too distant future. So just keeping an eye out on whether or not those lions are going to arrive here or not. Oh, we have some action. We've got heads up, which is interesting. So the reason you might be asking yourself, why on earth are these idiots parked so far away from the cheetah? Well, the answer is that when we stopped here, there were, between us and the cheetah, a number of Thompson's gazelles. They've moved off now, but they're around. And so we need to make sure that when those cheetah get up, we don't want to be behind them. We want to be in front of them so that they, as David puts it, run down the barrel. And what that means is they run, of course, towards the camera. So that's what we're hoping they're going to do. Now, it's getting a little bit blustery. Now, that's pretty good for hunting. And also, once the storm passes, if it ever passes, there was a lovely moon last night, and that means that cheetah could be hunting during the course of the evening as opposed to only at dusk. So we'll see what happens there. And then, while we're waiting, let's go across and have a look at an ostrich standing under a tree, which is quite fun. Can you see it there, David? It's that large bird-like thing standing next to the tree. No, to the right. Right, the bird-like thing. There we go. Well done. Good, that's him there. And we also have a topi to the left of that. All right, let's head across. Oh, it's running. Now, let's head across to Noelle. Please send her my very fondest regards. I have yet to meet her. I don't know what she looks like. I don't know what she sounds like. You know her far better than I do.
Welcome back. I hope you all enjoyed the cheetah with James. We're still on our leopard hunt, making our way again into the beautiful sunset, hoping to pick up a track or two. There's another vehicle not far from us that's following up on some female leopard tracks. We're just going to go check the dam in front of camp and then take it from there. Megan, sorry, can you just repeat the question that Sinak asked? Ooh, Sinak, what is my favorite African bird? A battler. I dig me a battler. So, a short-tailed eagle, the ones that when they're flying, they're like little acrobats. I just think they're absolutely stunning. And their agility is incredible. And the fact that it takes so long for the juveniles to get into their adult plumage. Sorry, there's a really beautiful shot of this sunset right here. Yeah, definitely a battler. Just going to take a moment to enjoy the spectacular sunset. Doesn't get much better than this. little moments like this that remind me why I love what I do. I'm glad you guys are enjoying this at home. Chris, one of the rarest encounters I've had. The first thing actually that pops to mind is actually about a bird. I was working in Zambia in South Luangwa National Park, which is one of my top places in the whole world. And it's 10 o'clock in the morning, it was hot. And I can hear a Pell's fishing owl, which I've been looking for years, calling. I can hear this fishing owl. And all of a sudden, these two yellow-billed kites start dive-bombing this tree, and out pops this Pell's fishing owl. And they're dive-bombing and mobbing and mobbing. We followed them for a good 20 minutes while they were doing this. And I'm going, take photos to my guests who are not birders, who are their first time safari ever. I didn't have my camera with me. And it was just absolutely spectacular. And that was almost 6 years ago. And that's the first thing that's popped into my head. I'll think of another one just now to share with you. But yeah, Pell's fishing owl, dive bombed by yellow-billed kites. All right, into the sunset we go. So we as humans tend to go to sleep when it's dark. Our eyesight only sees during the day, not at night. I'm gonna send you back to Taylor with her sleepy lions who sleep during the day and then become awake at night or when it's cooler.
I'm hoping so. If they don't wake up now, the rain is probably going to wake them up. We've made it back to, well, the 3 boys and the 1 lass laying in the grass, and they haven't done too much at all. And you can see how the sky is becoming quite dark. Now, obviously I've heard how Brent and Jamie and Scott and James and even Steph have said that you can drive around and avoid the rain. However, I don't know if that's going to be the case today. The entire sort of northern section right through to the east is engulfed in the darkest clouds, and they're moving very, very quickly towards us. So what we might have to do is I've sort of found a shrub that I think if it does bucket down, there's obviously quite a bit of wind, so maybe this rain is going to blow over quite quickly. But if it does get sort of too torrential for us, we're going to have to leave the lions, and we're going to make a whole bunch of noise, more noise than I could even dream of making, and head down that way and just hide behind a shrub, pull the covers down, and then just sort of wait it out. I thought it was going to be over quite quickly, but now you can already feel the wind is starting to just drop a little bit, and that's so typical of storms. And it comes through, and like I said, it's just engulfing the entire sky. There's even black clouds behind us, so there's really no avoiding this rain. We're going to have to take it in our stride and do the absolute best we can. But that could be encouraging. Let's see, maybe these lions get up and move out. I don't think that they're afraid of the rain. They experience the rain for quite a few months of the year. And not like the rain that we sort of get in Djuma. And we get some, days where we have 50, 60 mils in an hour or two. That's quite hectic, but I think it can pour down over here. But we'll have to just sort of see what happens, I suppose. And it looks like there are only 3 here, but the other young male lion is lying. Oh, let's go across to James.
No, you got... Hello everybody on Facebook. We've got a cheetah hunt in progress here. I'm just going to park right where I am now. There are 2 cheetah moving towards these Thompson's gazelles. They're just over there, and here they come. We're in a relatively good position here. I had hoped to get round the other side of the Tommies. There we go. They're sitting down. If she lies down, we'll just have a quick look at her. This is 2 female cheetah, and they are on the hunt at dusk. I'm apologizing in advance now for the wobbly picture. It's got nothing to do with the cameraman. It's got everything to do with the fact that there is an enormous storm blowing in here, and that enormous storm is going to make it very difficult for us to hold the camera still, so please bear with us. I know they've gone flat now. Welcome to all of the new viewers on Facebook. I'm just going to move. We've got 2 cheetahs there, and they are on the hunt. We have a little group of Thompson's gazelles ahead of us. I'm going to move around them, give them some space, and just make sure that I can see both in one shot. What I don't want to do is frighten either the cheetah or the Thompson's gazelles. The cheetah got up and moved. They started to stalk, and then they went flat again. I think, possibly thinking that it's a little bit light still. They want to use as much of the cover of darkness and of the wind as possible. Now, the picture is a bit shaky, and that is because, well, firstly, I'm driving, and secondly, there is a very, very strong wind blowing. And that means that the camera and the vehicle are being blown around, and so if it does get a little bit shaky, that is why. Now, we're not going to get the best view in the world of the cheetah from here, because this is where they are going to chase towards, with any luck, that is. Okay, let's turn and see if we can't see them all together. I can't actually see the cheetah at the moment. Dave will do his best now to find them for you. Can you see them, Darby? I cannot either. Yes, they're coming this way, straight over to the left of where you are now. Just straight in there. You should pick one up. Just left of that. In fact, just right of that. Sorry, right of that. There's a big bush, then another bush. Just zoom straight in there. And you'll pick them up. There they are, coming. See them stalking towards us now? There we go. Now, these are two female cheetahs, sisters, famous in this area. And they have apparently they have been lurking around, waiting. Do we need to adjust something, Dave? Are we okay? Okay, we're just adjusting something quickly on the camera before something happens. Right, let's go and see if we can spot this cheetah again. There we go. They're just in the background, just a little bit left, and zoom in straight there. There we go. Look how excited they are. Two sisters. Now, they will split up eventually. They're about 18 months old now. And they've been lying here with the Thompson's gazelle.
Welcome back. Sorry we had to leave James so quickly. I'm sure those cheetahs are going to take their time, so you shouldn't be missing anything right now. We're still on the lookout for our leopard. Our sun is gone. We've got 20 minutes of actual light left before it gets dark, and lots of time still to see what we can come up with, see what we can find. Now, interestingly enough, speaking of those cheetahs that James is busy with, this type of daylight, this twilight, it's not even quite twilight yet, but just before twilight, cheetahs will also enjoy hunting in this type of light. They prefer, it's not that they don't hunt at night, but they prefer to hunt a little bit more when it's lighter because leopard and lion tend to hunt more when it's dark. Not 100%, not definite in the box way of how cats are, but there's a tendency there every now and then. It has more to do with heat than anything else, as opposed to light itself. All right, we're not picking up any tracks. The other vehicle we spoke about earlier with tracks of a female leopard is the leopard that Byron saw this morning. So we know where she's gone. It's not a place where we can follow up, unfortunately. So we're just going to have to find someone else to have a look at. Johnny, excellent question. If I were going to be a guide in America, where would I want to do it? And unfortunately, Johnny, there's nowhere in America where lions and leopards and elephant naturally occur. So I don't think that that's going to ever be a draw for me. If I was going to do something similar to what I'm doing here and do it in the States, I would probably go more towards the conservation side and the education side and maybe work with some of the wolf relocation projects, something like that. That would be right up my alley. All right, let's head back to James with his cheetah hunt and see if anything good's happened.
All right, everybody, sorry about that. Something broke on the camera, probably to do with the dust or whatever it is, but it turns out that although the suspense continues to build, as does the storm from the east, so these cheetah have decided to take just a little bit of a rest. So you didn't miss anything. Now the Tommies know they're there. They've definitely seen them at this distance. But we are beginning to think that cheetah spend a lot more time hunting in the dark than we'd previously thought they did. And I think what they're doing now is edging slowly closer as the darkness falls, and one or two of the less intelligent Tommies are actually lying down and chewing the cud. Now you'll also probably be able to hear the wind blowing. There is an extremely intimidating storm coming in. If it does start to rain, everybody, then we're going to have to obviously shut down and quickly batten down the hatches, because it's going to get very ugly here very quickly if it does start to rain. In the meantime, I will tell you, while you look at the Tommies, that the sun has created a rather spectacularly pink and orange sky. There it is. And I'm just watching to see the cheetah. They've snuck in. One of them's just sort of sitting up now, watching where these Tommies are going. And this really is quite a stunning scene. Oof, and it's very intimidating, because now there is some fairly substantial lightning coming from behind us. The storm could miss us. Mr. P, you want to know if cheetah hunt in the rain? Stick around and I'll tell you. I don't know. I'm sure they do from time to time. I'm not sure if they do as a matter of course. But these Thompson's gazelles are all up and looking. Jerry, I'm sorry, we're going to have to call this. We're going to have to batten down the hatches. There are some big drops now hitting on us. Let's head across to Taylor. We're just going to close down one side of the vehicle and then we'll carry on.
All right, everybody, sorry about that, but we have got, like I said, a storm raging around over here, and it is creating a vast amount of chaos with all of our feeds. So it is just part of what happens when we are doing a live show like we do from a very remote part of the planet. Now, I have a couple of pictures that I'd like to show you. This is a hippopod that's busy getting active at the moment. We've got that male lion that's at Main South. He's awake and yawning out of his stupor that he was in at the moment. And he's looking, oh, big yawn, just oxygenating the blood and getting himself ready for the evening. We've got a beautiful scene at cul-de-sac with the clouds and the light. Just look at that. Isn't that just fantastic? The storm now blowing over. And then, of course, my favorite view is from the mountain cam, which is got a beautiful, beautiful picture at the moment. Isn't that just lovely? Eric the Poet, you said it's a tangerine sunset. Eric, I must agree with you 100%. It is a beautiful tangerine sunset. It's one of those days that sort of photographers love, but it is causing an unbelievable amount of issues with our broadcast equipment, mainly just because of all the wind. Isn't that just superb? Anyway, we're going to be sending you over to Taylor, who's also got a sunset to share with you.
We do. We've got lions with ours, and it is just incredible out here at the moment. I can't believe how the weather changes so drastically in such a short time. It's really quite incredible. Now, on the corner of the right-hand side of your screen, keep an eye out because there's actually quite a bit of lightning off into the distance, and it's really, really, really beautiful. So we were panicking at one point. We thought we were going to have to race off and go obviously find shelter, just like James is doing now. He's putting his rain covers on by the sounds of it. I think the storm was actually heading in his direction, but it seems as though we have escaped it. Well, for now, I suppose. Now, lions haven't quite woken up. I think they're quite happy that they're not getting drenched well just yet. And it's actually a beautiful scene. I would love to show you the sunset. Is that all right, Craig? We're going to just swivel all the way around. Swivel, swivel, swivel. Swivel, Craig shuffles around. And look at that view. Honestly, I thought we had gorgeous sunsets at Djuma, and we definitely do. Some of the best ones I've ever seen. But wow, with the escarpment, with all of the trees, and of course the clouds are definitely contributing to the beautifulness that is of the sunset. You can hear the thunder rumbling too. It's honestly so exciting. I get goosebumps. This is exactly like Out of Africa. It's honestly, if any of you have ever watched Out of Africa, and especially when I did, and I was very, very young, the first time my mom ever showed me that movie, and never did I think I'd be sitting here right now with the escarpment, with the trees, and I think I said too soon about us not getting any rain. It looks like the next wave is now coming in. I'm starting to feel a little spits. Ooh. Hey Craig, I thought we were going to get lucky. I don't know. See, look at it down there. So that's the area where Agama Mara is. Actual camp is down. You can't even see it at the moment because it's covered, and that's rain down that end, and it's coming towards us. We might just have a drizzle though. You see, there's just some cumulonimbus clouds straight above us. Unfortunately, you can't see them. So there's sort of these low-lying. Actually, Craig, can you see this one here? This black cloud with a black bottom here. This one. This is a cumulonimbus cloud. Not a cumulonimbus, nimbostratus. So that is rain, and that brings rain. So not cumulonimbus, those are the big anvil clouds. I meant to say nimbostratus. So that's what's going over us now. Not even that big though. There's sort of smaller ones that are just passing us. So we're actually under a tree at the moment. Perhaps if we just sit here and we don't drive anywhere, we might get lucky and we're not going to get wet at all. So let's just see. Otherwise, we're going to have to race around and head towards that shrub that I said. But it's not getting too heavy just yet. But I must tell you, even the raindrops are bigger in Kenya. There's no playing around with little drips and drabs like we normally get in South Africa. The rain is going to come. Are you going to come down? You see, I'm in two minds at the moment. Trying to figure the weather out. Now, Lynn, you're wondering if I've ever been lost with all of the roads here. Well, I ended up on the border of Tanzania, 3 kilometers away from it. I wasn't lost, though. We were actually checking an area for lions, and we jumped on one of the roads, and we were meandering around, and this road just didn't veer off. It just kept going along, and we ended up in a beautiful area. It was so nice. And then eventually we got onto a main road, and I thought, I don't know if we go any more that way, we're probably going to end up in the Serengeti. And then we moved off. So I haven't been. You've obviously got a lot of landmarks here. You've got the big escarpment on the west, and then of course you've got the river line, the big row of trees which you can't really see at the moment. Unfortunately, it's a bit too. You might just be able to see all those big trees right at the back. So it's quite easy to sort of navigate, and then you just figure it out really. But I noticed that Scott was one day he was driving and he take some of these grassy tracks. Obviously, that's how you explore, and they would just end up going nowhere. So there are quite a few of those roads around here, but that's okay. You can just turn around and, well, come back, and you'll eventually find yourself on a road. Like I said, you can actually use your GPS out here, which is really handy to sort of find little two tracks. Obviously, some of these roads on here. Jerry, I think we're going to have to put rain covers on now. It's coming down a little bit harder. I'm actually going to put my windscreen up. It's just opened up. It's not too bad. Right, I'm going to send you back to Steph. We're going to cover up.
Oh, look at that sunset and with that. You know what? It's amazing that we can cover so much ground over here and show you so many different scenes of so many different things. It's actually just incredible. This is now Main North crossing with the storm blowing over the northern part of the Mara Triangle, which is a smallish portion of the Greater Mara Conservancy, or Greater Mara ecosystem, really, right at the top of the migration path, which is right in the south of Kenya. And I know all those descriptions are whirlwindy to try and understand, but nevertheless, that's where we are. Now everything's getting very dark and very sketchy for us to use these cameras, but nevertheless they are still operational and we can still show you what is going on. Now what I'd like to show you, probably not going to be the best visual, but I'm going to show you anyway, is Main South, where we've got, just lying close to where the Main North site you just had now, you've got that male lion that's busy lying. It's very grainy. That's because the camera is not really a nighttime camera, but you can see that this male lion is wide awake at the moment. Hasn't decided to roar at all yet, and this is the time though that they will start. So male lions usually spend a long time waking up, stretching, yawning, really oxygenating their muscles, and then they'll give one or two roars, let everybody know where they are, bellow out a challenge to everyone else around the bush. How is that camouflage? If you didn't know that that was a male lion wandering around here in the dark, that one sedge would grow teeth and claws and become loud very quickly, don't you think? That is just fantastic. Now, cul-de-sac crossing, we've got a storm raging in the background. If you wouldn't mind going to cul-de-sac, we've still got a little bit of light there, so we'll leave that around. You can see this is the hippo pool. We've got a crocodile in the foreground, and if you have a look above that tall tree on the right-hand side, that is where we've got a storm raging at the moment, and every now and again we get these beautiful flashes of lightning coming through. Let me see if I can lift the camera a little bit and give us a view there. Get ready with your screenshots, because let me tell you, if you can capture a lightning strike, it would be a fantastic thing to do, even though it's all grainy. Let's just wait there for that lightning to come through. Lightning, of course, caused by friction in the atmosphere. It's a discharge of static electricity between a negative charge at the top of a tree or something sharp and a positive charge generated in the clouds, as far as I know, or a mixture of the two in the clouds. Not very common. I mean, lightning storms out here in Kenya, have I had a lot? Yes. Do we have bigger ones in South Africa or on the high veld of South Africa where Johannesburg is? Yes, definitely. I remember when I was living in Johannesburg, the lightning storms that we used to have there were massive. All right, let's go and have a look at the mountain cam as well. That is the view from our office. Also, now that is looking east and north. A beautiful grainy picture of the view. It will be changed tomorrow, don't worry everybody. And without further ado, why don't I send you over to Noel, who's driving around in Djuma.
Something said.
No, sorry.
Welcome back, everybody. So we're still looking for our elusive leopard. Still haven't picked up any tracks. We're going to head to Impala Plains area, Sandy Patch, just take a drive around, see if we can pick up any other nocturnal creatures. So on the rare side, maybe a caracal, maybe a serval. Seb and I were talking about pangolin just now. Seb's never seen one. Pangolins are quite incredible creatures. They're also on the endangered list, the conservation around them, like we talked about with other things today. Pangolins the scales are used in traditional medicine, and the meat is eaten in tins like tuna. And once you do find one, you just pick one up and sort of run away with it. So a good friend of mine that's part of anti-poaching unit team actually found one, confiscated one the other day. It was re-released, super exciting. So that's also a threat to the ecosystem that we have to deal with. So yeah, we're going to take it easy, bumble along, and hopefully our little rosetted friends will come out for our last 30 minutes of drive. Megan just confirmed that Charlie's asking if I am personally familiar with the lion, leopard, and hyena of this area. In this area of don't as well as, say, Safari Live viewers who watch on a constant basis would know, but behavior patterns tend to be similar. So it's something that I look forward to.
Welcome back to the studio. Please excuse us for that. You know, these storms in this place, coupled with some signal dips, coupled with all the gremlins that we have from time to time, do make us go to those technical loops. Luckily for us, they are short and very few and far between lately. What I do want to show you is one of the crossings that we had today at that cul-de-sac crossing, where we saw all those wildebeest busy crossing. We're going to show you. Where those crocodiles got their food from. Now this afternoon we watched the crocodiles dismembering a small youngster, and this is where they got it from. Just have a look at these wildebeest. It is so tension inducing. This is what I mean about them going across at these rocks. Watch there on the left hand side. On the left hand side, big crocodile grabbing one in the middle. Watch another one in the middle now. And you're going to see a massive crocodile taking a full grown wildebeest. Ooh. Wildebeest panicking, swimming across left and right. Zebra now going across. You can just have a look at this mass panic. Now it is hard to watch. You can see the dust on the outside. At the same time that this is happening, the Paradise Pride of Lion are actually hunting wildebeest on the bank on the left hand side. Now we've got a bit of panic going on over here. You can see wildebeest struggling to get out, current washing some of them down. Now a lot of these crocodile have actually already got a wildebeest at this particular point. Watch this wildebeest crocodile coming in, picking up speed. Oh, and oh, shame. It is so hard to watch. This is obviously just one of those things that happen here. It's just one of those things that has to happen over here. It is a cycle of life here. Two crocodiles fighting over a youngster, then another crocodile coming in. This wildebeest actually looks like it's going to get away, and it did. How was that? Massive crocodile grabbing that wildebeest, and then it got away, and now we've got this little struggling one crocodile coming in now. Let's hope it just ends it quite quickly, and there you go. You can see that it drags it underneath the water. Now you've got that hippo coming in, big wound on its flank there. Do you see that? It is not uncommon for hippo to have those wounds. It is a slashing wound from a hippo's tusk. And there all those wildebeest are now out on the bank, milling about. Ooh, you can see there. I think that there are a lot of very relieved wildebeest at that particular point. Those hippo coming back into the water, they didn't like the commotion. You can see them all standing over there, don't quite know what to do. Want to carry on sunbathing, don't want to carry on sunbathing. And, oh, there's that wildebeest that was still stuck. That was the wildebeest that got caught by that massive crocodile. Oh, look at that. There's a massive crocodile stuck to the tail of that wildebeest. That is what happened. The wildebeest looked like it got out of the clutches of that crocodile, was under the water for a little bit as that massive crocodile dived on top of it. Here's that little wildebeest off on the left-hand side. He's still under the water, thankfully with a big crocodile attached to it so it doesn't drown. Or it doesn't take a long time to drown, I should say. Let's have a look at the saga of this wildebeest. Obviously exhausted, obviously terror-induced, adrenaline pumped, and now slippery on the rocks, and with a giant crocodile attached to it. Just have a look at that. One of those Goliath crocodile that we watched tear apart that youngster today. This is not live. Just for those of you who are joining the show at the moment, this is a replay from earlier on today. I can't remember what time. It must have been around about 11, 12 o'clock this afternoon. And while we're just waiting for all the technical gremlins to be sorted out, we thought that we'd play you some of the action from today. So this is a replay. My voice, however, is live. Just have a look at the size of that crocodile's head that is holding onto this wildebeest. Easily the same size, if not bigger, than this wildebeest. No wonder this wildebeest can't get down. It's anchored by a 1,000-pound dinosaur. Can't get its footing. You can see its lungs pumping there. It's a full-grown male wildebeest, this. And they weigh in at about 500 pounds. Taking a bit of a breather. Doesn't quite understand what is anchoring it there. And thankfully the crocodile is not wanting to let go of the tail. Being the villain in the story, of course, you want to try and make sure that the good guy gets away. Let's see what's going to happen with this wildebeest. Quite often they just take their time. You can see the other crocodiles now coming in. There's obviously 2 or 3 carcasses now in the water here. Oh, look at that. Epic struggle. That crocodile is going nowhere. Anchored onto the bottom of the water, easily weighing upwards of 1,000 pounds. A good question would be, does a wildebeest feel pain in its tail? I think yes. I mean, it obviously has bone all the way to the end there, and that has a bit of the spine in it as well. I think at this present moment... Oh, there we go. Wildebeest has got out. Oh. A bit of a shaved tail at the moment. Oh, shame. Oh, can you imagine the relief flooding through that wildebeest? Just watched a whole bunch of its friends... Tail not damaged at all, but shorter than it was, and a whole bunch of zebra now. Isn't that absolutely amazing? And that was probably the best crossing that we had today. Isn't that incredible? All right. No, I'm glad that I got to share that with you. And from our side here in the Mara, at least, for now, for the scheduled broadcast, I'm going to be I'm going to say goodbye, and then I'm going to send you over to Noel. But don't forget that we've got unscheduled broadcasts the whole night. We've got Taylor, Scott, and James out in the bush. But without further ado, goodbye for me, and off you go to Noel.
We have had no tracks, no calls, and I would try and imitate a leopard for you, but my leopard call is not very good. My lion call is okay, maybe in a little bit. So one of the reasons why you tend to find animals like your cats that have territories that start calling now, this time of night, is as the sun goes down, the hot air rises and the cool air comes down and it forms a shelf. So for something like a lion, specifically male lion, their roars in the best weather conditions in good terrain can reach over 16 kilometers. Not very good with math, so I unfortunately can't put that into miles for you. I'm sure there's someone bright out there who could do it for us. And so this is a good time of evening to start picking up those sounds. And then for something like a hyena, the lion and leopards have vocal cords that are movable in their throat. A cheetah, like what you were watching with James earlier, it's fixed, so they chirp. They don't roar. And then a hyena will actually use the ground to help, and similar with a wild dog. So they put their faces down. So a wild dog will go, whoo, whoo, and it magnifies off, and then a hyena will do the same thing and go, whoo, whoo, and it magnifies off again. So we'll come up ahead and then we'll stop and we'll listen for a little bit and see if we can hear. And then if we're very lucky, and because this is my interview drive, I will do my lion call for you. Maybe it works. So something when I was working in Namibia, I worked with a leopard researcher, and something that she was picking up off of recording leopard calls is at the end, every leopard has a little something that's different, like a fingerprint. And also the timing, the numbers of, so I'm going to give you my bad impression now, because now I keep talking about like that, like a saw going over wood. And so the females tend to have a little bit longer one to call the males into their territory. The males are a little bit shorter. So earlier when we cut out, unfortunately I was talking, I had said freedom mouse as this little bat went past. And I was talking about I had German guests recently who were teaching me the names of mammals in German, and the German name for a bat is a Friedemaus, and it's one of my favorite words, and for some reason every time I see a bat fly past I go Friedemaus, sometimes in my head, sometimes out loud. You all got to see me do it out loud. Okay, so we're gonna stop and have a listen, see what we can hear. Ooh. Sorry, Seb's asked me to put the lights on. This is all we got, Seb. And the hooter.
That one. The key, turn the key. Yeah. And then try again.
Seb, I'm so sorry. That's all we got. All right. So if we were a lion, or we were to hear lions if we were a lion, this is what you would hear. Males and females both roar. Males more so than females, but you would hear a and that's the one that carries for so far. There's baboons in the background just there having a domestic. But it didn't go on long enough for it to be something predator related. With your apes, and we get so monkeys and baboons, when there's a predator like a lion or a leopard, so they're up in the trees now, they sleep like we do at night, the intensity will be extremely high and it will go on and on and on. So vervet monkeys, for instance, when they see a leopard, it's forever and ever, and they jump up and down and they point. Seb, do you think we can get the moon?
If you, yeah, I can.
No moon, but it's a beautiful, what looks like a waxing moon as far as I know. I haven't actually been keeping track of the moon cycles at the moment. Look, Seb, your lights are here. All right. Sorry, Megs, you have to say one more time, what did Patty ask? Patty, very good question. Are there snakes in this area? Yeah, there's snakes all over the world. We definitely have snakes here in the Leopard in South Africa. It is winter, so snakes do something called aestivation, which is where they hibernate when it's dry and cold. Actual hibernation is when it's wet and cold. It's not something we see very often at the moment, but as it warms up and as we get moisture from the first rains, they'll start being out. If it had been a very hot day with a little bit of rain and it was moist and warm right now, you would see things like puff adders and pythons out on the road. But it's cold and chilly and winter and very dry. So if the snakes were trying to move around, especially with this dryness, not just the cold, their bodies will dehydrate to the point where they won't be able to function. So that's why they're hiding away. Thank you, Anna Marie. I try. I'm not the best. I worked with a guy who could mimic birds and mammals to a T. You thought they were the actual things. He used to play practical jokes on us. But thank you. I appreciate that comment. Okay, so Tony, if I was going to live for as an animal for a day, I'd be a leopard, for sure. Lions are I love lions, but they're a little bit gluttonous. A leopard, and leopards, you only see a leopard when they want to be seen. Yeah, definitely a leopard. And if I had to take the big 5 animals out of it, then I would either be an African wild dog, which is incredible, or a honey badger, because honey badgers definitely don't mess around. This is actually a good time of the evening and a good time of year to spot honey badger. We have a little bit of eye shine. I just want to stop and have a brief look and a listen. From the type of eye shine we had and the fact that it moved away so quickly and the size off the ground, I'm going to... Oop, there we go. That's a genet. That's what I was going to say. I'm going to try my best. There, Seb, if you can put the camera there where I'm shining and see if we can... For those who don't know, a genet's like a nocturnal mongoose. It's related to a civet, which if you've never heard of or seen a civet, it's more like an African raccoon. It's not actually a mongoose itself. Now it's moved off. Unfortunately, they come out at night, they eat birds and bird eggs. They'll nest in holes in trees during the day. Seb, I can see the eyes in front of me here, but I'm going to have to move the car just a little bit. We might just get lucky, everybody. So I can see it there with a little bit of eye shine. Yeah, it is super exciting. It's just one of those things where he's seen us and heard us, and he keeps running away and then looking back and running away. So where I'm shining the spotlight right now, where Seb's trying so hard to zoom in on, unfortunately he's moved off and it's very thick, and it's not a creature that we're going to continuously push off the road for. So we're halfway there. We might get lucky, you never know. So you might be wondering, why did I say genet? So again, it's the eyes, the way the eyes are shining, the height off the ground and the movement, and then just years of experience shining on things like genet. And also, it's not just hard for us to show you at home as Safari Live viewers, but even guests that would physically be sitting with me right now, that would have been a very hard spot. What's there in front? Oh, sorry, little Steenbok. That was an overexcitement. So we don't shine on animals or mammals that have diurnal vision, daytime vision. Especially with antelope, they get something, that this little film, for lack of a better term at the moment, that goes across their eyes, and when you put the spotlight on, it breaks it up and blinds them. So that deer in a headlights look, that's basically what's happening. So there was a little bookie there. It ended up being Diker, not a Steenbok. I got overexcited, and so that's why we're not shining. I believe that film is called the tapium lucum. I'm going to have to double check and get back to you all on that. And then something like a genet, a lion, a leopard, a hyena, species that can see during the day and during the night. They don't have that. They basically, there's a little scrub hair here. Their eyes will shine a little bit red, like this scrub hairs is doing. And they can take the light and bounce it off the retina and back out again. I'm just going to shine just a little bit lower, little scrub hairs. So scrub hairs tend to come out at night. Their metabolism is extremely fast, and it makes more sense to spend their energy when it's cooler and they can get moisture and sustenance from the grass that they're eating, as opposed to needing to drink water and then eat grass during the day and moving when it's hot. And obviously when your metabolism's very quick, your body heat's already higher. It's just gone off behind that tree. So, well, I like that comment. Yes, Byron will cry if we spot a honey. So Kat's asking what is the fastest antelope and which antelope is heaviest. So Kat, the heaviest antelope, and I'm going to take giraffe out of hooved animals with this, because technically if you go back far enough, giraffe are actually an antelope, but we're going to take them out. It's going to be an eland, weighs just about a ton. Now with the fastest antelope, I have to ask you a follow-up question. Do you want fastest over longest distance or shortest distance? Because that is going to be different species and in different parts of Africa. So if we're talking over longest distances, I believe, if I remember correctly, and I can stand correct on this, it is a Sabi or a topi, one of the two. They're cousins. I actually think it might be the topi up in East Africa, now that I'm thinking out loud. And then over shortest distances, I actually believe it's the springbok in South Africa, but again, I could stand corrected. Fumbling. We're just passing by another game viewer at the moment, so we can wave and say hello. Good evening, how are you? Enjoying your drive? All right, enjoy. Just finishing up a sundowner. We had our sundowner earlier with our beautiful sunset. I hope you all at home were having an amarula or a glass of South African red wine. All right, so Taylor is braving the storm. Fantastic. We're gonna head on over to her and see if we can get any action that side.
Noelle, I must admit, every time I hear your name, and this is Big Genre's fault, is I want to start singing Noelle, Noelle, because Genre and I were singing all sorts of songs the other evening as we were driving around. So that's every time I think of your name, I feel very happy and literally spring into tune. Now, obviously we haven't done much birding and we are sitting in our tent. You can hear it flapping. It's not raining very heavily. It's definitely raining, but the wind is a nightmare and it keeps blowing everything in. So we're just going to wait it out and hopefully it will disappear. So I've been trying to figure out what a lot of the birds are that we've been seeing. That I've been seeing in and around camp and just flying overhead. Most of them I have absolutely no idea what they are. But one that's singing a beautiful call at the moment is this one up top here, the white-browed robin chat. And I'll play you the call because I actually have it on my bird app. See, my bird app is just for southern Africa, so it doesn't quite cover Kenya, but we do see the white-browed robin chat too. Well, I've seen it before, but let me get my phone out for you. But it's lovely. You can see why it's called the white-browed robin chat, can't you? Lovely sort of rufous orange, white, brown, of course black. So let me do that. That's a little book I bought. I've now broken it. Play the call. Isn't that beautiful? It's such a happy sort of fluty call. I can't help but feel quite giddy, and I've noticed it's the first one you hear in the morning, and it's the last bird that you hear at night as well. So it's almost like the white-browed scrub robin that we see in the Sabi sand. Now, Jerry, can you repeat what's starling? And the question, I didn't quite hear it. Let me turn the volume up. Now, Noelle, who's obviously driving around in Djuma, wants to know if I've seen a superb starling, and I only can imagine that it's the one with the beautiful colours on it. I'm trying to find it now. Noelle, I haven't, sadly. I haven't really had much of a chance to actually do birding. It's been go, go, go. So I'm keeping an eye out for it, but I cannot wait, and I will stop for it. I want to get a picture. Oh, can't find it in my book. This is just a little pocket book that I bought. I have a really big bird book as well. But I thought that we might get some rain because the clouds were building up. I can't find it, and you all know that I have absolutely no patience to page through books. I have patience to sit with lions. I have patience to sit with leopards and all animals. I do not have patience to look, but I'll do the other thing. Instead of just trying to page through and stumble across it, I'll actually look for the bird. Forgot I can read sometimes. Now, Rick, I'll get your question in a moment. Let me quickly find this starling. Is it in here? Superb. 119, and then I'm going to answer Rick's question because it will be quite a cool thing to chat about. Right, almost there. One page to go. This one. Isn't that incredible? Sorry, Craig. My hand is not very steady. That is amazing, and I cannot wait to see this bird. I'm very excited. When I see it, I will take many pictures, and I will brag about it. Even though it is just a starling, it is the most beautiful picture of a starling I've ever seen in my entire life. Craig, what do you think of this starling? Craig says it's pretty good. That means that it's fantastic, and he cannot wait to see it. I also saw some... What did I see? I can't remember what I saw. Now, let me get to Rick's question very quickly. The question from Rick was, what is the most exciting thing I've seen so far? Well, Rick, funny you should ask that. Last night, I had the best sighting I've ever had in my entire life. You can take every other sighting that I said was incredible, scrumple it up, throw it away, or burn it, do whatever you want. I could not believe what I witnessed. So right, VM and I, I'm bumbling about, spotlighting, as we do that typical thing, not really seeing much at all. And I go, ooh, hyenas. And it was about the 490th hyena I'd seen for the night. And I went, hang on, they're eating something. So off-road we go, and driving. And I said, oh, there's a couple of hyenas. Oh, cool, they're eating a wildebeest. Now, I wasn't sure if they'd killed the wildebeest themselves or if the wildebeest had just died, but I'd reckon it had only just happened. They'd barely started eating it, and the hyenas out here are incredible. They're constantly hunting. Obviously, though, at the moment there is quite a bit for them to scavenge, but the clans get quite big. I think it might have been part of the clan that Scott had the other morning, and I was following around the other evening. Because there were just eyes, lots of hyena everywhere. Anyways, that wasn't even the best part. So I was like, woo, right by the car, great. Viewing this is so incredible, not really worried about us at all, and they're devouring this wildebeest carcass. And the next minute, from right in front of my car, all of a sudden a serval springs out of the grass and runs to a shrub, and I went, woo, okay, that's exciting. And I thought maybe the serval was in the area and it was trying to hide away from the hyena. Well, I was wrong. I was completely wrong, and I was so happy to be wrong. I don't mind when I'm wrong. I'll say sorry and learn from it and sort of move on. You have to do these things. Anyway, went around the shrub, and I thought, okay, hang on. I know serval. Serval can be relaxed, but they can also be very skittish, and I don't really know the behavior of the animals around here, so I'm still learning about it. Drive around the corner. Oh, the serval doesn't care about us. Oh, fantastic. Viewing it. It's just standing there. It's grooming itself. I thought this is the best thing I've seen in a very, very, very long time. We've now forgotten about the hyena. Next minute, serval starts going across towards the hyena. Can you believe it? I thought, no ways. It's never in my life did I think what was going to happen actually could happen. It walked quite close, probably about a foot away. Yeah, about a foot or two away from the carcass, and it just sat there. Hyenas heard something. They all ran off. Next minute, serval goes in and starts scavenging. Never seen a serval scavenge in my entire life. I would never put it past them, though, because we know that nature has no rules, and the animals just do what they want, really, whenever they want. So I thought, great, this is incredible, watching it. Then, did it not get even better? The next minute, one of the hyenas come back. There's a little bit of a standoff. Not that the hyena really cares about the serval. And it was just amazing. Serval hissing, snarling, Kraut's position, not having any of it. Hyena didn't care. Tucked straight into the carcass, carried on eating, blood covered all over its body. And then the serval eventually got up the courage and crept forward, and they were both feeding on the carcass at the same time. Absolutely amazing. I don't know if I'll ever see anything like that again, but we will try and find that serval again. Right, let's go back across to Noelle, who's yielding her spotlight, and maybe she's going to see an owl of some sort.
Welcome back. Still on our elusive leopard hunt. Haven't found them yet. Good to hear that Taylor's seen some nice birds up in the Mara. I worked up there about 7 years ago. Yeah, about 7 years ago. In the Mara North Conservancy, which is on the other side of the Mara from the Mara Triangle where Safari Live is based. It's a stunning area, and this time of year it's magic. It's absolute magic, as you saw tonight with the crocodile and the wildebeest and the cheetah on the hunt and the lazy lions and the big thunderstorms full of rain. All right, we're just having a last little look around, seeing if anything pops up. Again, it's not quite too windy yet, so I am very hopeful. Maybe for the honey badgers, so we can say ha ha ha, Byron. Project Alpha, good question, the difference between Cape hares and scrub hares. Look, they're both hares, but a Cape hare is a separate species to a scrub hare, if that makes sense. Also, Cape hares don't exist here. I believe, and again, I can stand correct on this. Yes, that's a really excellent question. I haven't had a question like that in a while. They're down Kruger side, as far as I know. But again, I would have to triple check. I haven't worked that much in those areas. I've actually never seen a Cape hare. So that would then be something we had to put on my list. So the list has now gotten longer. So we were talking earlier about stories and fun things that have happened. So many, many, many years ago when I was working in the greater Kruger area, but north from here, I was driving back. It's night like this. We'd seen a spotted hyena, but looking for leopard, looking for lion, not really finding much. And another guy called in that he had a leopard. And so we headed over to where that leopard was, and we're sitting, and I was driving with a lodge where we had trackers. So my tracker said to me, I must shut off the lights because he can see something glinting now. So we all shut off our lights because, again, you don't want a spotlight on the leopard while she's potentially hunting, and you don't want to blind anything that could be potentially blinded by the lights. So we shut off, and all of a sudden, we hear her move. Sorry, I'm just going to shut off the lights for a second. There's Impala in front. We hear her move, and then this screaming sound, and then nothing. Turn the lights on. 5 meters, 10 meters in front of us, right close to where she'd been sitting, she kills a diker. So now this is so exciting. We're watching this diker. She's killing this diker, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, these 3 lionesses come running in. And they bolt in, and they chase this leopard, and they chase her. She runs straight up a tree, and then this one lioness screams, no, I'm going to let these 2 go and chase this leopard. I'm going to sit here. And she grabs the diker, and she looks around, and she runs off, and she starts eating this diker while the other 2 are chasing that leopard up. So recently, I was on game drive near that area and came across the same female leopard. So we're talking 8 or 9 years later, with brand new cubs, tiny. And what was she eating? She was eating a diker. So something that's super interesting about that is that many people believe that predators will just eat whatever, but most predators have specialties in what they eat. So they'll specialize in, let's say in diker or in impala or in buffalo, sometimes to detriment. So in Sabi Sands area a while back, there was a prides of lions who were specifically focusing on buffalo, and buffalo in this area gets tuberculosis, the whole greater Kruger area. So if you're only eating buffalo, and you're only eating buffalo 100% of the time, and there's diseased buffalo, you then are going to get tuberculosis and pass on. What mostly happens with predators is about 85% of their diet is 1, sometimes 2 species, and the other 15% is another 2 species depending. So they really specialize. They know what they like and what they want to hunt for and how to hunt for it, and it maximizes their effort and their potential chance of getting injured and maybe dying. So we've seen some impala tonight as we've been going around. We saw that one diker. So if there were to be, say, a leopard around that we're looking for, and they were hunting, that impala/duiker would have to be part of their specialized diet that they're eating for them to want to go for it. I used to work with a leopard who took down small to medium-sized buffalo. He was huge. He knew exactly what to do. All right, so we've had quite an interesting drive. Thank you all very much for joining on. I hope you enjoyed. If we have any other questions that want to come through and wrap up a little bit. Thank you so much, Lizzie. I appreciate that. It was fun for me as well. And we want to thank Steph and Jamie and Taylor for all the work that they did up in the Mara. Some epic sightings this afternoon up there. Safari Wildman, I enjoyed that rhyme. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. You're a great community of people. Lots of positive vibes out there. We tracked and found our elephants today. Lots of impala, all up in the open areas. They can't see at night, so they're busy trying to find a little open area where they have what they feel is the best bet for making it through. Let's not blind them as we come past. Hopefully they do make it through, but then again, everything needs to eat. All right, everybody. Well, thank you again so much. You'll be joined again by Byron tomorrow morning. And I hope you have a great evening.